It is 5:45. We'll call the December 4th Account and Finance Committee meeting to order. Our first item on the agenda is VML VACO interim financing.
I would like to present this to you because it's the first time you guys have heard of this, I suspect. And one of the things that we're trying to attempt to do is the second phase of East End. That's really what's driving this. We've got another phase of water and sewer improvements for the second portion of East End. Okay? In order to do so, I'm trying to avoid rate increases. Trying to avoid a rate increase. We were lucky enough recently to have the opportunity to meet with Tara Delaney, who's a representative from the United States Department of Agriculture Rural Development Office, and that office is in Richmond that services Blackstone. We used to be in the Cortland, which is Southampton County office, but they've moved us. Tara has been very helpful. You will see some resolutions on your agenda for the 16th for USDA grant loan applications for a wrecked police car and for some other equipment. In talking to her, she said that they do have funds available, and the terms were very favorable last year. So favorable in fact that they did a grant loan combo with the grant, not every project, but there were projects that garnered 75% grant, and the difference being at 1.75% interest. Okay. Our assumptions here are that that would happen, but not the grant. We're not looking or factoring in any grant money here. This is just going to a lower interest rate, and instead of a 20-year AM, we're going to a 40-year AM.
So you're figuring worst case.
Worst case. This can only get better, but we are going out to 40 years. We don't have to take it 40 years, but it keeps our payments down, which in turn allow me not to raise rates.
Now, this is for what?
Two projects.
New water lines, new what?
New water, new sewer in the East End, okay? Replacing our water meters in town.
To go in to where they're digital, to where
Digital read. We don't have to go out and physically
save you a lot of manpower
about
hours.
$300 and some thousand for that. And then doing two improvement or repair projects out at the wastewater plant, which would be about $350,000, which is working on the filters at the water plant.
I just
and then
don't.
replacing valves at the water plant.
I just don't want us borrowing money for 40 years, and then that's beyond the life expectancy of whatever we're replacing.
Well, that's why I took a piece of equipment out. I've been quite interested in buying a skid steer. And that skid steer would cut the sewer line right away that we can't cut otherwise with a tractor. We've had to contract it. And we got a heck of a good deal from the last guy.
Yeah.
And did a good deal. But we'd also like to have that piece of equipment, and they can put an asphalt zipper on the front of it. If you go to Green's car, we did a water service there. There's 2 or 3 on Oak Street. I can't get a paving company to come do little projects like that necessarily. So we'd like to be able to do that and get a dump truck load of asphalt and roll it, even rent the roller from Robbie or whatever, and see if we can get it done. That will be on Monday night. Believe it or not, Hurricane Michael grant project still, that's still available, and they're proposing as much as $50,000 in grant money for the purchase of that. Okay. Monday night. This project is approximately half new construction and half refinancing of the first phase of East End. If we can drop that interest rate to 1.75, 4.5, you're 4.49 on the first phase. And if you remember, we did interest only for 2 years, keep the payments down. Okay. Now, this is going to give us the opportunity to refi that debt to 1.75. Borrow additional monies at 1.7. We believe 1.75. They price it every year depending on how many applications on it at 1.75. Okay. We hope some grant, but we're not factoring any. And if all those things happen, except for any grant money, your payment would go down about $17,000 a year. Okay.
I just don't want us to get tricked, though. It sounds great, but I don't want us in 20 years, all of a sudden we're going, oh man, well now we got to get, we still got 20 more years, but we also have to replace what we just did.
Borrow the money to build,
Yeah.
put it in the first
These
place.
filters probably don't have a 50-year lifespan. Those
Well,
are,
I mean, I'm sure that's nothing huge. Now, it sounds like water lines will last longer than 40 years.
that's a 50-year.
Yeah.
That was,
So-
the water and sewer lines that we would do in the East End, they should have a 50-year expectancy. we're replacing about 60-year-old pipe.
And that's probably your big expense of the project, I'd say.
But I don't want a 40-year finance, a piece of equipment that amortizes over
No.
10 years.
And we
Like a
can
piece of equipment or.
pay off early, any penalty or anything like that?
No penalty, no prepayment penalty. Okay? This is the way I'm trying to head with this thing. Because I do think it's got merit that we don't have to raise rates, but if we take it 40 years, you're paying a lot more interest. It's twice as much interest, basically.
Well, we can figure doing double payments or something. every
Well,
once in
here's
a
the
while.
thing that I like. We're gonna have a bond paid off in 2022, and it'll free about $70,000 a year. And if we discipline ourselves, we can chuck that.
Which bond is that?
It's a 2002 bond. and
Water bond?
It's a water and sewer bond,
Okay.
yeah. We only have water and sewer debt anymore. We have no general fund debt. Okay? No general fund
Yeah,
debt.
medical center's gone.
Come on, that's paid off. Medical center's paid off, and we get $1,900 a month or $1,979 a month, and we just stick that in a little sinking fund in case the roof blows off or we need to buy an air conditioner or something like that. We'll get cash working. Okay? As part of this deal, USDA requires interim financing, like a construction loan. Okay? In part of that construction loan, it would allow us, one is required, and two, it would allow us to avoid our next debt payment on the 1st of May, which is gonna be for first phase of East End, okay? What I like about it is, if we close on a construction loan, an interim financing piece, okay? We only make the debt payment, because it'll take out the refi portion. And the construction portion will sit, and we'll only pay interest on the construction portion that we draw, as we draw it. We don't do it all at once and start paying immediately. If we borrow $1 million and don't spend $1 million, we don't make a payment. We spend $50, we pay $50 in interest of, on what we draw down, on the interim piece. That is how, unless I see or have an epiphany, changing something, this is what I will probably recommend to council.
Well, I think simply just going from 4.49 to 175.
On the
That
refi
alone
piece.
right there is,
Yeah.
okay, that makes your deal, I think. I mean, that's a big savings.
Yeah, big savings. But we're going 40 years. So you're losing some of your savings
Yeah, but
because you're stretching it.
I mean, we can even take that extra interest that we had figured on paying, put that towards the new rate,
$17,000
and
a year. Yeah.
keep chalking away at it, so.
I did have a quick question. Is it all contingent if you get approved on phase 2 of East End, or? So,
Yeah, I think it would be all contingent, not the financing piece, because we'll still move through with that, but the
Right.
construction portion of
the
it.
con-
If
right.
we get turned down on the second phase of East End, water and sewer lines still need to be replaced, but you still have an option whether to do it or not.
Okay.
I mean,
It's not
the
mandated.
likelihood of being turned down to phase 2
I
is,
don't think it's very good,
yeah,
getting turned down, because we've performed.
Okay.
The
correct.
streets are done, the curb.
And we put a lot of money ourselves into the project, so that's what sells it.
As a percentage, you put in a lot.
Yeah.
Water and sewer and half the curb and gutter and tar and gravel. And the house is looking great. Yvonne's working with the property owners. We've got 2 that have moved in and hopefully another one, beginning of heating, power and water. Heads up, in order to effectuate this, there's a $4,500 charge from DML Baker for them to put the deal together.
It says deliverables, what exactly, I mean, that's
Deliverables would be any tangible
paperwork.
paperwork or discs or drawings or diagrams, deliverables. It's pretty standard that if we pay them, the deliverables go into the town and they have to provide or deliver the deliverable. Any drawings, any product of the.
So do you need us to refer anything to council?
I
or-
would ask that you recommend using VML Vaco Finance to put this deal together at the cost of $4,500, acting as our financial advisor.
Does it
A lot
need-
cheaper than what we've been paying.
Does it need to be a contingency in there if we get East End grant, phase 2?
Yeah, certainly, you can do it.
When is
But-
award notices for that?
That won't be a word, so.
But they need to move forward,
So
right?
you're looking at doing this sooner rather than
There's a
later?
schedule. Did you include the schedule, Jen?
Yes.
Yeah, it's in here.
Okay. Look at the schedule. They've got this rascal closing in March. Now, if we don't think we're gonna get all the money, Remember, we don't have to use it, because we're not closing the USDA 40-year deal, we're only closing the interim. And if DHCD turns it down, we don't have to spend any or pay any on that portion. All we would be then paying on is a refinance portion.
Gotcha.
And I would ask authorization that we enter an agreement with VML Vaco to act as financial advisor at the cost of $4,500.
And where are you getting the 45 from?
It's in the agreement.
Well, no, where are you getting the cash from? You've got somewhere. Where's it coming
Yeah,
from?
we've got somewhere. Jennifer, where would you take it?
I would take it, professional fees out of water and sewer.
What I'm sure to
Professional fees.
Okay.
Get professional
I was about to say,
services.
professional fees for just general fund.
Yeah, no.
But you don't
because
have
it's all
that,
water
because we
sewer
use that for the
related, I would do
computer people.
professional fees out of-
Professional fees out of water.
Which makes sense, being that
When they
you're
have-
refinancing water and stuff.
And I can't tell you whether their fees are reimbursable or not. I know all the engineering is reimbursable and that sort of thing, but I would not venture to tell you that 4,500 is eligible for reimbursement. Okay? I think that we're on our own for that one.
But if we work the deal out with Pickett, we could use that extra money trade in this.
We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Trying not to raise rates. And Eric knows this, I don't know if anybody else knows it, but when we raised the rates 3.5% for East End, it was pretty close to being not enough to do that. And this would actually allow us to stay at the 3.5, and I would propose no additional rate increases.
And plus, yes, you're doing good for the East End. But when you raise your rates for, just say, the residents on Lunenburg that are complaining about their water quality now, and they're like, all right, well, why are you raising my rates?
I don't want
You're
to
not
raise
improving
rates.
my water line.
Nobody likes to do that, and if I can find a way to avoid that, I think this may be one of the ways to avoid rate increases. The bad part is, the good and the bad is, you're just stretching it out.
Well,
and saying,
I think we've disciplined ourselves enough where we can, that 40 years will be far less.
I'll make a motion that we, go after this bid with the EML Daco, to get the loan.
Spend up to $4,500.
$4,500 for the deliverables.
Yep. Second that. All those in favor? All right, so we'll take that to council and vote on that. Just when you bring it, if you can, just have, this right here is kind of confusing as to the money, how much we're actually wanting to, just have that prepared as to exactly how much we're looking at refinancing with the East End possibly, and then without the East End.
Good. Well, so you know that 1570 is the refinancing or refunding component.
So
The
that,
difference between 3.1 and 157 would be
Okay.
the new construction.
Gotcha.
portion. Basically half of it.
half of it, okay.
Half of it.
All right.
And we're still awaiting a final preliminary engineering report. The council had authorized us to do that for phase 2 of East End. And that's being worked on, and that's gonna give us our exact number. We're working on half and half, 50-50. It may
Yeah.
be 52-48, it may be 55-45. We're supposed to receive that PER, I believe. The schedule even discusses that we should get it in February, if I'm not mistaken. Complete PER, excuse me, June 2020. And I think it'll happen quicker because our agreement with B&B requires it 90 days from the date of execution of the task order, and we've already signed the task order, so I think he's gonna have to have it quicker too. One of the things I wanted to bring to you, and I spoke with Jennifer on a couple of occasions, is the investment and the investments that we have with our undesignated reserve funds and our cemetery perpetual care fund. Right now, we have about $2.7 million in Benchmark Bank and a CD that has about 2 more years to mature. Is that right, Jim? 2 years? About 2 more years to retire, and it's at 2.58%. $700,000, excuse me, $1 million we invested in this VML Vaco program, which is much more variable. It has market influence, okay? At the time when council back last December came to us and said, and we bid it out, and council said, if it dips below 2.6%, we want to think about moving this thing. Okay.
which has been hard to tell because of the
There's a
realized and
disconnect.
unrealized gain
That's
and
right.
stuff like
So,
that.
the end result is income earned, what Jennifer did, we invested, if you look at this first little spreadsheet, initially we put $860,600 in, and we have, since December 12, 2018, earned $32,846.74 in interest, and it doesn't, is that included in unrealized? It does. Okay.
So that's water and sewer reserve.
Electric reserve, we invested $139,400, and all this combines $1 million, and we've earned about $5,320. Cemetery is something different. This is perpetual care. We are not allowed to spend the principal of perpetual care. When we were desperate in the darkest days of 2011, we had $220-some thousand in
On-
perpetual,
On the books,
on the books.
but not,
We're not allowed to touch them. We're allowed to use the principal. You can take the principal and do anything, but you're not allowed to take the
The interest.
you're allowed to use the interest, but not the principal, excuse me. If you look at what this has been doing,
so it looks like with, if you just take the water sewer reserve, so we, if you figure it up, it was 2.63%. So 2.6% was what we actually gained this year.
But like, so I printed off the November statement, so you can kind of see there, your income earned was 271, but that unrealized GL,
Yeah,
the drop,
it's
so
what-
then that basically,
we actually lost money.
and
last year.
it's kind of fluctuated, volatile like that.
Yeah, exactly. You look at your 401K, you probably were following credit, but this is pretty conservative.
Keep talking, I'm
Treasury,
listening. He needs to go.
T-bills and things like that, federal government investments and all those kind of things. There's very little stock market. I think 10% of, if you look at perspectives, like 10% of this is invested in things like Walmart and Chevron Corporation or ExxonMobil, Apple, they actually own some Apple stock.
So do you think we should keep it where it's at, or do you think we should go elsewhere?
Well, we talked, logically, we would leave it, because you're in it for the long haul. You don't grab your 401K every time you
Correct.
start dipping. But I know the council's intention was, when we bid it out, that these local banks want this money. Now, we bid it out not too long ago, and we got responses back in the ones. But because Benchmark Bank agreed that we could add to the principal amount at any time during the term of that, we would get 2.58%.
My concern though is that's due, that maturity date on that is in February. So what happens when it matures and our rate drops?
Oh, they're gonna drop precipitously.
So it may, well, this will drop too then if that's the case.
2021.
Oh, it's 2021.
I think the thing to do, and we can move it around any way we want, but I think the thing to do is put it in that benchmark CD. The intention was to check it in a year, see what we're doing, and we're not doing, we lost money last month. And losing money, we're not losing principal. The principal is still safe, we're just losing accrued interest that we had made. I would make a recommendation that we go and insert this at benchmark rate, 2.8%, or the rate that the current CD is. And it's $1 million. But that would put all our eggs in one basket. That's
Correct.
$3.7 million in one basket. And if you choose to do the cemetery as well, it makes about $4 million in one pot.
Being that this is a different pot of money,
Then that gets a lot more interest. The more money you got in there, the more
You're gonna make more interest now.
but being that this is a different pot of money, is it best? And we've done it all, we did it with the last one, we obviously saw what numbers we got. But just to be good stewards to those that are other banks in the locality, is it best to go through it?
I talked to Taylor a little bit about it today already, and he didn't make a commitment, but he says, it might be tough to beat that 2.5.
Yeah,
He said,
but
I don't know if we can
It's
do
giving
that.
everybody a chance.
Okay. Can you get some prices?
Yeah, I feel like it would be,
Just put it down.
I
Good
don't,
spirit.
yeah, I don't want people to go, oh, well, y'all got some money in your back pocket, and,
We'll get citizens the prices, and we'll get benchmark prices.
yeah.
We know what the benchmark price is, but.
Yeah.
And
we can even go to BB&T.
Yeah.
They do CD.
I think last time they no bid, I
They
think.
didn't, yeah, they didn't bid on that last.
But believe it or not, they got the cemetery, that 220 some, was in BB&T.
Was in, yeah.
Okay. We'll get prices and then we'll bring it back to the council
Yeah.
on the 15th. We'll do that. Okay?
Alright.
You good?
Pretty good.
Have the IRF, Industrial Revitalization Fund next.
Alright. Without mentioning the project, because the project has not been publicly announced, and a publicly announced project is not eligible to be discussed in closed session as an economic development activity. So I have been approached. It is a hospitality project. They are asking that the town assist this project with 2 applications. One of them is very similar to the application that was submitted previously to the Tobacco Commission, which garnered a $5 million non-recourse loan from the Tobacco Commission. They would like for us to apply for that. I've put Mr. Rourke on notice that we'd like to discuss that with him. The council's got a vote to do that. I hope by the council meeting I'll be able to announce who it is. Okay. Just don't have anything in writing telling me formally this.
Yeah.
And then the other project that they have asked us, and I've included some information for you, is the Industrial Revitalization Fund. You can guess it's a renovation of an existing building, which is what that money is typically used for. They would like us to apply. I think it's about $600,000 grant money. It's the same project, if you remember, with Dave McCormick, that we were going to apply for, and the vote went down. We didn't. It would be the same project funding as what we discussed.
So obviously this wouldn't happen until 2020, correct? I'm just
We're not
trying.
going to get an answer by the check.
No, yeah, I'm just trying, and then you can only make 1 application per year, correct?
I don't know how many applications we do, or how much, or I've got to spend some more time, and I haven't read the guidelines very closely.
You know, obviously what is on the horizon with the Armory. And whichever way it goes, I want to make sure that we don't step on our own toes. So that's, and I think the Armory project is further off when it comes to that, being that it sounds like now.
Definitively, it's for.
Yeah,
Because you
being
still got
that,
this referendum.
correct, that's
potentially
what,
hanging over you.
so maybe that could be a 21, I don't know. So that's why I was asking, how often can you apply
I
for?
don't know the answer to that, but I do know one thing. In DHCD rule, when it comes to community development block grant types projects, and I don't know if this would count towards that cap, you're not allowed to have more than $2.5 million of outstanding projects. Okay? You have East End 1, East End 2, that can be $2.5 million. I don't think the second phase of East End is going to be as much.
Yeah.
Whether this applies, I know that I cannot go out, if we were to receive the second phase of East End, I couldn't apply for another community development block grant to do something similar, to build houses, until phase 1 was closed. I don't know if IRS affects that $2.5 million.
Gotcha. Okay. So
And I would like-
this is just,
It's
Informational.
informational, you can make a recommendation, but I would like I'm looking for authorization on the 16th to pursue industrial revitalization.
Now, in the match portion of that, who's putting up the matching funds? The town or the private
No, we would not,
entity?
I'm not proposing to put any cash in there. The matching funds would be private financing.
the only thing, and from what I understand, and correct me, that we actually just would hold the IRF funds.
And then distribute it for
then we
construction or
distribute it.
acquisition.
Yeah.
And we are on the hook for it if there's a lack of performance. You gotta pay the $600 back.
Or can you hold a deed of trust on the building? I mean, I don't know, how does that work?
That's some kind of personal.
I mean, obviously you want a guarantee of some sort. You don't want to just, oh yeah, okay, we trust you.
And that was the part where a lot of the Army folks were really fretted last time. If you do this for McCormick, I don't think it was the grant application process, but what was said was, how can you go on the hook for a private project? You're on the hook for a private project. They gotta perform.
Yeah, but I mean,
And how can you reduce your liability by,
if everybody, I mean, obviously everybody can know, and we'll talk about it later as to which project, but if you're involved in town, you know which property this could be. I mean, it's a huge ordeal.
it's a big deal.
I mean,
hopefully we'll have something within the next week, we can make an announcement and before next council meeting, we're looking forward to that. But because we were meeting tonight, I wanted to.
That's fine. And until
give you a
we,
briefing.
and until we can announce anything, I mean, you've got my support, but I think we don't need to recommend anything from here until it can be said as to what it is, which property.
We look forward to being able to tell council as soon as possible, hopefully the 16th.
I don't think it's good for us to go up here and say, oh yeah, we know what it is, but,
We support a grant application,
We
but
support-
we're not
we
telling
can't
you.
tell you what.
Okay.
Seems kinda underrated, so,
So heads up, that's coming to you on the 16th. And I will find out if the $600,000 affects any of our caps or
okay.
ability to apply for other things. And you and I chatted a little bit about timing and scheduling and all that. But this is the same grant that Bob Lauterberg and I both felt like was likely to happen if the armory were.
Gotcha.
Same pool of money. Okay.
Alright.
Jennifer, do you have anything else to add?
Well, if that's it, then we'll call this, we'll adjourn at 6:10.
We will be providing to you fairly soon a proposed budget schedule. Believe it or not, that's kind of.
It's almost January now.
Yeah, we're in December, so in spring and such things. Yeah.
We were planning to have like a budget,
Summit?
yeah. Well, kinda like a train, almost like
Oh, that's right,
a,
yeah.
a budget 101 for the entire council, kinda like, almost like a retreat, a budget retreat kinda thing to kinda talk.
Even if it's
everything
just you have it up
everybody
one evening or
understands.
something, you don't tie up a whole
Well,
Saturday.
we're just trying to maybe continue either the next meeting or the January meeting and bring the whole council in, maybe do an hour before the February council meeting, so you don't have to burn a Saturday. And we'll just sit down there and we'll hit you the highlights.
And a good thing, and I still need to be taught more on the packet, when you flip to the back, which now I think it's towards the front,
Uh-huh.
but the accountability and all that stuff, all those reports, I mean, sometimes you look at those and you're
You
like,
mean the audit?
No, the back of the council package.
Oh,
not
Where it just
monthly
shows your-
report.
your general fund, and,
treasurer's accountability
Yeah.
statements and all that.
and that's good to be able to learn how to read, so,
And understand what it is,
correct.
okay, and what's the purpose of an accountability statement.
Mhm.
It's assets and liabilities. And I think they call them assets and, it's just a ledger sheet.
Yeah. But it's, that ledger sheet before I got on,
Was not balanced.
oh, it showed money that was not there.
Wasn't it?
Lots of money that was not there.
It doesn't mean,
So you're saying before the February council meeting?
maybe we should shoot for that, is that cool?
A calendar, I think February is like when we really kick off budget.
It doesn't matter, whenever. I mean, it's just a budget 101, just say, hey, this is what we try to do in the budget, this, so.
Just so that when we come back and make our recommendations, everybody's not just looking at,
Sure,
Like how you
I
come
accept
up
it.
with
Yeah.
yeah.
We want everybody to be informed